What is going on to all my Netflix fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot here today to talk about, we got Avatar 2 coming out. We got Top Gun Maverick coming out. Hell, just the other day they announced the Batman sequel, but put those films to the side. 365 days this day. Oh yeah, we're talking about the sequel that we all were waiting for, and I'm breaking it all down for you all in this review. But before we get into it, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community today by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. And as you all can see on the screen now, if you enjoy what I had to say about 365 days this day, well, make sure you're liking the review as well as sharing it. But more importantly, talking about sharing, share your thoughts in the comments about this film. From which one did you like more? Part 1, Part 2? Do you want to see more? Because you best believe we're getting more of this franchise. And let's talk more about this sequel in regards to favorite moments from our erotic fans, favorite sex scene, least favorite moments, and we will be talking about the ending. But again, let me know all your thoughts in the comment section. And just like I just mentioned, I got to talk about that ending with you all. So what I'm going to do with this video, the first half, the majority of this review will be a spoiler-free review. So for those that haven't seen it, and this is one of their most anticipated films this year, I won't spoil anything. I'll just give you my pros, my cons, and my score. And then the second half of this video, oh yeah, we're talking about that twist ending, because I gotta talk to you all about how this film ends. So the second half will be a ending explained, talking about how it all ended and what it could mean for future films. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's start off with my positives here. I did review this film, and I guess I should let you all know that I was clearly joking about this being my most anticipated sequel, but I did see the first one. Wasn't necessarily a fan. I had some positive things to say about that one, but the majority of that review, you can see it if you want to, was mostly negative. But hey, we're talking positives right now about this sequel. And I will say, speaking positively, for all the erotic fantasy book readers that really enjoy this type of content, which I'm not its target audience, but I'm here to review the film because I saw the first one. The hot and spicy, sexy scenes are back in this film, and they are bigger and badder and sexier than ever. The money shots are there, and I will say they, and all pun intended, they blew their load in the first half of this film, because there's about five sex scenes, I would say, altogether, and 4 of them are in the first half, and 1 of them comes much later in the film, and it's really not even a real sex scene, it's a sex dream. But neither here nor there. I speak of these sex scenes because I think, for me, Laura and Massimo, their chemistry is at their peak. It's at their best when they're sharing these intimate moments, because outside of that, a lot of the more serious, dramatic moments, the acting just kind of goes out the door. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, for the hot and bothered, sexy, erotic fans out there, we literally open the gates with a sex scene, and from there on out, we're seeing them married, they're on their honeymoon, and they're just banging and doom-da-ba, using tools and all the different stuff. So I will say, it is much spicier than the first one, especially when it comes to those sex scenes, and their chemistry is at the peak when they're sharing those scenes. Which, going into some other things that I can think of in regards to the positives, I will say the film, when it comes to these characters, which aren't too developed and just kind of really fantastical characters, Laura is having a bit of a change of her character in regards to taking more control of their relationship, because now they're married. You know, that's clearly in the trailer. That's not a spoiler. They're married now. She wants the dynamics to be a little bit more even playing field. Like, she has a company in this film that she really doesn't get to do anything with, but at least the sentiment is there that she's trying to be her own independent woman, or regain her independency in this film, which you can appreciate. And then even Massimo, who is a straight up asshole in the first one, he kidnapped this woman, and she, don't even get me started on kind of the manipulation of her falling in love with her kidnapper. That's a whole discussion within itself. But they try to change him in this sequel to make him more of a civilized human being by giving Laura more of that independency, giving Laura things like a company, a fashion company in this film, and using what he considers control, and in his mind, it's more of a protection to keep his wife safe based off the events of the first film, which we will be talking about how this film literally does not even address what happened at the end of part 1. But like I said, as far as positively speaking, the sex scenes are there, and they are there in the first half. Like, literally, first 20 minutes, there's like 3 sex scenes. So they got that right, and the chemistry's good there. And then they try to grow on the characters from part 1. So those are kind of my main positives that I have to say. we got to get into my negatives here. Now, this film, again, I know I'm not the target audience, and I by no means am trying to make fun of those that really enjoy this film or this franchise, but I got to call a spade what it is. In this film, there's really not a lot going on in regards to the writing department. But before we get there, we got to talk about these plot points. We get introduced to these new characters, one by the name of Nacho, who is this new gardener, but there's more than meets the eye with that character. My whole thing with Nacho and how it connects to Laura, and this more speaks on Laura as a character who has to be the most irrational, most dumbest characters that I've seen in a long time. The transition of how things kind of shake up in this film within the end of the second half, or say at the end of the first half, with her, let's just say, seeing her husband, or what she thinks to be her husband, to be engaged in some other sexual affairs. My girl Laura just literally just goes with this mysterious gardener who, it doesn't dawn on her, he's a gardener, but man, he has a really nice house, nice cars. What? She doesn't put two and two together for a very long time. So again, Laura, I mentioned how they try to grow the character, but unfortunately her growth, she takes 2 steps forward and takes 20 steps backwards, because there are just decisions and irrational things that she does in this film that is just mind-boggling. I'll just say it by that. It was just very dumb decisions by Laura in this film. And speaking of dumb decisions, and just speaking of dumb, Massimo is given double duty in this film. And I'll talk about it in my spoiler half of the video, but he's giving 2 performances in this movie, and I'll just say the other half of his performance was absolutely hysterical. Very daytime soap opera storyline involving Massimo, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. But that was absolutely ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, why is this film almost 2 hours? Why? Because there's literally no plot. Literally, the film tries to introduce twists and turns and the mafia angle, which is so ridiculous. The mafia angle is just like so laughable in this film. But why are we watching this nonsensical film for 2 hours that really doesn't add much to anything? Again, not giving it all away. First half, they're married, they're having their honeymoon, they're banging and doing all this stuff. She has a secret that she doesn't want to tell him that doesn't even connect to the first one. I'm at a rant at this point as I'm saying this out loud. The first film ends on this somewhat cliffhanger, like, did she live? Did she die when she goes in this tunnel? This sequel alludes to things, but they don't show you what the hell actually happened in the tunnel, and they almost want the audience to forget what happened, except for this one pivotal part of something happening to her, and it involves a secret of family. I'll just kind of say that. Again, it just doesn't connect the pieces. The plot is really nonsensical in regards to, again, they're married, something happens in their relationship, and then the second half, she's just spending time on a beach. Like, I think the budget of this film was kind of cut maybe by like a lot of money, because I think the first one was only like $10 million, and the second one has to be like $7 million or less, because there's not a lot of, like, the first one, we were on a private jet, we were on a private airplane, we were shopping, living this luxurious life. But this film, they were just like literally sitting down most of the film, especially in the second half of the movie, which takes a complete left turn in regards to the War department. We spend time in just sitting in beds, sitting on the beach, looking at water. It's just the most, like, this boring second half of the film. And then when we get to the ending, which we'll get more in depth in the spoiler portion, the last 20 minutes of this film were so stupid. It was just like this glorified commercial for just like something I would never purchase, which is this lifestyle. It was just so silly. And again, the mafia angle, the twist angle with another particular family member, and then the way they end the film is just like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it here. Which, again, one last little point I want to make in regards to my criticisms. Who composes these films? Like, I feel like they just put their phones in like a TikTok algorithm, and TikTok just gave them their soundtrack for this movie. Because the soundtrack is, at one point, it's like this sexy, hot scenes, and the next soundtrack is like this kid pop Disney song. The score of this film is, and I'm a person that appreciates production, that's why I'm bringing up the score. It's absolutely laughable. Yeah, so that's all. I mean, I have some other things that I can probably mention in regards to criticisms, but those are mainly the things that come to mind. So before I give you my score and my overall thoughts and get into that twist ending, make sure, if you haven't already, to like this review, share it, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Overall, 365 days this day. I can't believe I'm saying this, because I didn't really think the first one was that good, but the second one's even worse. The second one is terrible. There's no plot. The characters have a little bit of growth in the relationship, but then the relationship is compromised, and seeing them individually speaking, they just don't make a lot of sense, and they don't give Laura She's just a very dumb character. Massimo and his two sides of the character, absolutely ridiculous. In the ending and just leading up to that point, I'll just say the sex scenes are there, the chemistry within the sex scenes are there, and the rest of the film is just pointless. So I'm going to give this film a 1 out of 5. I don't think it's worth your time. Again, if you've seen the first one and you enjoy this content, you enjoy this genre, this is probably right up your alley. But as far as just like a structural scenes or movie with comprehensible scenes and cohesive scenes and just a through line, this ain't it. 1 out of 5 for me. So with that being said, let's talk about that ending. Full spoilers ahead. So at this point in the film, we have seen Laura leave her husband because he's sleeping with the other woman that's a part of the mob family, trying to combine their mafias and get this taking over the world. She's spending the second half of the film with Nacho, who's revealed to be the son of one of the head mafia guys. And Nacho reveals himself, and she's like, oh, how do I just keep doing this to myself? I'm never going to trust another man and all this nonsense. They go to the meeting where we see Massimo there. He wants to see his wife, and they find out that they gave her to the wrong security guard, which ends up being his twin brother, which the performance of him, like, was he a crackhead? Like, what was he doing? I don't understand. Like, you didn't have to be that distinct. Like, we understand it's a twin brother. You don't have to be like, I want the audience to know that this isn't me, so I have to sniff every 5 seconds. Neither here nor there. The twin brother has her. He has a gun to her head. Are you going to risk the empire over this slut? And all what ends up happening is after the mafia girl says, or I should say the brother says, oh, I wonder what the baby, the unborn child, would have been more like Laura, would have been like you. And then obviously that's where he finds out that the kid was killed in this accident, which I mentioned in my non-spoiler review. What even happened in the accident? They keep saying the accident. They don't even show us what happened in the tunnel. We just assume the cops came and maybe the stress killed the baby. I have no idea because they didn't show us. But neither here nor there. She escapes, which again, the slow motion, dramatic moment. He shoots her in the stomach. Trust me, she's going to be fine because we're going to get a sequel, no doubt. They shoot her in the stomach. We see that they shoot the mafia girl, and then Massimo, obviously, he kills his brother or shoots his brother in the arm. I shouldn't say he's dead because I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him back in the third one and they're going to have to work together to take on some other mafia ridiculous character. But we end the film with Laura assuming to be dead because she's shot in the stomach, and we end on that note. Ridiculous, straight up ridiculous. I can just see it now. Part 3, we're gonna see Massimo and the Nacho guy and the brother teaming up to have a gangbang on Laura. That's gonna be the third one. 365 again and again and again, and can't stop, won't stop. But whew, let me know what you all thought about that ending, and let me know what you all expect to see in this third one, because we know it's inevitable and it's gonna be ridiculous, and I'm gonna probably watch it just to give my thoughts on how ridiculous it is. But hey, thank you for watching this spoiler part of the video. Thank you if you stuck around to see in the beginning of the video. I appreciate you. Before you all leave, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. As you all can see on the screen now, I appreciate you. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. Come and join the community. Check out my other content. We'll catch you all on the next video.